In this video, I have 3 Pathfinder 2e house rules that I personally can't live without. Plus, stick till the end because I have a cool bonus house rule that I think is super fun to implement in your games. I'm a professional GM that runs 6 games a week, and my players have come to love these house rules, and so will you after watching this video. Don't worry, Pathfinder 2e purists, these house rules are, at the end of the day, house rules. I'm not changing any core game design, but they're fun to use, and you might like them if you try them out yourselves. So without much further ado, let's get started with house rule number 1. And remember to like and subscribe if you like this sort of content. House rule number 1. Lore skills are underutilized. Let's fix that. So you know how you get that background lore at level 1? Well, I make that an additional lore, which means it scales up with your level at level 3 and level 7. But in addition to giving a free background lore, I also give a free silly lore. What's a silly lore, you may ask? Check this out. We've got Myconid mating ritual, sweet snacks lore, famous novels, eye sculpture, butt worm lore, and I didn't start the fire even though I did lore. What's the point of these lores, you may ask? Fun? But if it ever comes up actually in a campaign, it is amazing when it does. It costs you nothing to give people extra lores, and it's fun when it does come up, so why not let people have their extra silly lore? If you're going to be awarding a silly lore, make sure it's nothing that's going to be super serious. Ice cream lore is good. Alcohol is not, because alcohol is actually real lore. But I also give people extra real lores as well. At level 5, for example, if they've encountered something in the campaign that they're going to be encountering repeatedly, I give them an encounter lore, something that they know they want to take. In addition, I award extra lores as part of downtime, and the occasional, like the buttworm lore, was part of roleplay, and they got it for free. I don't feel lores are game-breaking in any way whatsoever. Sometimes they may come in handy, and that's cool when it does, so I recommend, as a house rule, to award lores freely to your players, because why not? What else are they going to use it for? And I started this lore rule at the beginning when I began running Pathfinder 2e in 2022, and so far it's been great. So recommendation from 3 years of full game time. That's house rule number 1. Let's move on to house rule number 2. This one's a little bit more recent that I've implemented probably in this year, but I love how it's been working out so far, and you actually might as well. I'm talking about the hero point alternate use that I'm going to show you right now, plus bonus villain points that I will show you how to use as well. The hero point alternate use is simple. I allow you to burn a hero point with a description for a +1 untyped bonus to your roll only on a failure, not a critical failure, not a success, but on a failure, to add that just 1 +1 that might make a difference, and it actually has been a hit. If you describe to me how you smash some of the rubble, I'll give you a +1, which will make it a success.
Yeah, I mean, I hit things for a living, so this is literally me just hitting stuff with my staff. I mean, I'm probably using my staff rather than with my fist. I mean, maybe I hit it with my fist.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like the extendo reachy thing on it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm just like smashing out of the way as we
playing snooker.
It plays a little bit with Pathfinder balance, but honestly, I think it's a better use of a hero point than re-rolling and failing or critically failing, as usually ends up happening because hero points are a lie. Also, since part of the rule is you have to describe it, it gives you players an opportunity to be that slightly more descriptive in games if they need that. In addition, I have villain points, which are also a lie, but I'll use one of my 3 villain points to roll a 1. Well, critically miss. I'll use my second villain point for this one. That's the second villain point. Says roll it to a 1. I
told you would roll 1s with those villain points.
What is going on? Anyway, villain points are my way of also having fun when I roll a 1 and I want to re-roll really badly, but I can't. All my players get to do it. They get to re-roll their crappy rolls into better rolls. So why don't I get a villain point as well? I usually award myself 1 villain point per session, and I use it not to kill my players or make things difficult for them, but whenever I get frustrated with a roll, that should really be a better roll. I made it into a sort of codified house rule, so all my players are aware that I do get a villain point. They can award me extra villain points, but they usually don't do that. Also, you can use villain points for NPCs that are trying to help the party, which makes it less villainous, sure, but it's good in case a roll that you really want to roll fails and you have another chance to retry. I recommend you try villain points. Just give yourself 1 per session and tell your players, hey, I might reroll once per session, deal with it, and who knows? Might not be the most popular rule, but at least you as a DM get to have fun as well. Hey, before we continue, I want to shamelessly self-plug my server. It's down below. You can join a Skull and Shackles games that's running at the very moment, run by my very good friend Aaron, who is also a game master. It is a paid game, but if you're interested in playing with us, you might as well jump in the server and see if you're interested in joining Skull and Shackles. Shameless self-plug. Let's move on with house rule number 3. I like giving players a chance to give descriptions, so this next house rule makes it so that you use an action and a description to do something really cool. Check out my coup de grace rule. Coup de grace is one of my favorite new rules I implemented in the last year. Essentially, when an enemy is like at 1% health, give or take, you as a GM give the player an option to use an action and a description to finish the enemy off. This is good for battles where it's going to drag on a little longer, or you just want to give the player a little bit of a cool way to finish an enemy, because why not? I found that in practice, it enhances the gameplay as opposed to taking away from it, and I usually reserve the right to ask for a coup de grace, which means that a player can't beg to finish an enemy off. You have to offer it as a GM. It's a cool way to use a last action without an MAP or an attack trait. You just ask the player character to finish the enemy off, and it's been working pretty well so far. I think my players have liked it overall. It's been a positive for the last year or so. Quick note about coup de grace. I recommend you do it when the enemy's at like 5, 10, even 1 health, right? That's really annoying. So you might as well be like, hey, you got an action and description? Cool. Finish the enemy off and give me a cool flavor move for that. All right, those are my main sort of house rules I recommend to you guys, the viewer on YouTube. But I've got one more house rule that isn't really that exciting, but it is a cool way of identifying items. So let me show you the way I use identification in my games. It's time for the bonus house rule of identification. Check out this unusual belt, this dancing scarf, right? You can use Arcana, Nature, Occultism, or Religion to identify it. But what does this dancing scarf do? It gives a +1 item bonus performance checks to dance. So why not have a player character use a performance to identify the item? Sure, it spoils a little bit if they fail, but I think it's cool to use appropriate skill checks that are flavored to the item for the specific item. I'd even allow like an acrobatics check to identify this bracelet of dashing, right? Why not? I think it's cool that a player character can use more abilities than just Arcana, Occultism, Religion, and Nature. Anyway, your mileage may vary. It's just a fun little house rule thing that I've added, so give it a shot. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Watch this video on the left or is it on the right? That YouTube really wants you to watch, and have a good day. Thank you.